This is the Berman Method podcast featuring Dr. Jake Berman and physician assistant Jenni Berman. We are here to treat problems and not symptoms. Disclaimer, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and not to treat anyone or to give medical advice. If you are interested in any information that we are giving and would like to use this for yourself, we recommend that you contact your primary care physician or reach out to us and ask us questions about yourself specifically. Enjoy.
Here we go with the Berman Method podcast, focused on treating problems, not symptoms. David going against Goliath. We're David. Goliath is the corporate medical system, big pharma, your health insurance companies. They do not have your best interests in mind. They will choose profits over patient outcomes time and time again. Dr. Jake Berman here, my beautiful co-host.
Jenni Berman, physician assistant.
We got Walker Ryan Bermanator on the ground here, playing on his mat, working on some extension and some rolling. We got rolling now.
He's rolling consistently.
Yeah.
Mostly one way.
Mostly one way. We were rolling at like 1 month, but now it's consistent.
Yes. Yeah. He's rolling from back to tummy only to the right. He tries left, but he's not very good at it yet.
So he's probably not going to be a NASCAR driver.
Nope. He doesn't want to go left. But yeah, he's rolling all over the place. Can't leave him on the counter anymore.
Yep. Can't leave him on the counter anymore. Cool. So I got a little bit of a rant to start us off with, and it's going to tie in. What?
Oh boy. We didn't talk about this.
It's not a big rant. It's just more stats that play into. It'll be a nice transition into what we want to talk about today, which is, Jenni, you redid your food sensitivity test again and posted it on social media and got a ton of questions and comments. So we're going to go over that in detail. But first, remember, this is for entertainment purposes only, so do your own research. Just some fun facts where we spent, revenue, $110 billion was made on type 2 diabetes last year.
Wow. 110 million? So he said?
Billion.
Billion.
B with a boy. $110 billion was generated on type 2 diabetes in America alone last year.
From pharmaceuticals, from research, from like what kinds of things? Or was I not? It doesn't matter. It's just the money.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
What the point is that it's $110 billion was generated over this quote unquote disease of type 2 diabetes,
which is preventable and reversible.
Like, this is nuts. Mm-hmm. Now, but wait, it gets better.
Oh.
So the SNAP program is food stamps.
Right.
It's where if you qualify, your income is low enough, you can qualify for government subsidized food stamps. Now get this, 10 billion with a B, 10 billion of the food stamps went towards soda last year.
10 billion?
$10 billion of government subsidized food stamps went towards the purchase of soda. So the government is paying for people that can't afford to buy their own groceries
to get type 2 diabetes.
Like, are you freaking kidding me?
It's not funny, but oh my gosh.
But wait, it gets even better.
No.
It gets better. The American Heart Association just came out and approved soda for a diet on your diet. And now here's where it even gets better. The American Heart Association is subsidized by Pepsi and Coke. Pepsi and Coke
Stop it.
are giving money to the American Heart Association.
Which is how they could put soda on the food pyramid. But you've got to be joking me. So now we're paying the American Heart Association to give people type 2 diabetes.
You can't make this up. The only country in the world where this fraud and corruption, I mean, this is just insane. Absolutely insane. Now, here's the last thing that I'm going to say, and I think that this will be a really good transition into what you want to talk about today. So let's come back down, calm down just a little bit. I know you're getting all worked up over there, Jenny. Even Walker, he's down on the ground. He is all jacked up from those quotes.
I'm just thinking diet soda, like, still has poison in it. Even though it's not sugar, it's poison. Aspartame is poison. Linked to cancer, linked to spiking insulin levels. I had a patient who was supposed to come in for fasting labs and forgot and ate a Diet Coke before she came in.
Ate a Diet Coke?
Drank one. Drank a Diet Coke before she came in. Young, healthy individual was seeing me for not weight management and not blood sugar instability. But I still do full panel blood on her. She comes in after having a Diet Coke and nothing else to eat or drink, and her insulin was a 28. Optimal is 6. And her insulin was a 28 in a very young, healthy, no blood sugar issue individual. But the aspartame from this fake diet soda spiked her insulin to a 28. So diet soda is not any better for you. And
arguably, it's worse.
And now it's on the food pyramid?
Yeah, arguably it's worse because it's not real sugar, it's fake sugar.
Yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad.
So it spiked her insulin 5 times what it should have been in a healthy, young female.
Yes.
What do you think it's doing to you, listener?
From a Diet Coke. And just because it's diet doesn't mean it's good. Like, oh, man. Okay. All right. What was the last thing?
Okay, here's the last thing, and I think that this will tie in really nicely. So those stats, look them up for yourself. Do your own research. But I mean, come on. It's out there. People are getting more educated. The truth is coming out. It's getting more blatantly obvious what is and what is not happening. Now, here's the big thing. High blood pressure is one of the most common things that general practitioners find with their clients as you get older. It's just, I'm doing air quotes right now. That's a normal part of aging. Okay, you're getting older, your blood pressure is getting high. Let's put you on a blood pressure medication. Here's the crazy thing. 85% of all diagnosed high blood pressure is idiopathic, meaning that they don't know why you have high blood pressure. If there's 100 people that are diagnosed with high blood pressure, 85 of them are diagnosed with idiopathic high blood pressure, meaning they don't know what caused it. Meaning that there's only 15% of people diagnosed with high blood pressure, that there's a reason why they're diagnosed with high blood pressure. They can say, what's a good reason why somebody would be diagnosed with it in Western medicine?
I mean, structurally with the heart.
Exactly.
The valves aren't pumping appropriately.
Yeah, so just be really simple. There's something functionally, structurally wrong with the heart. So the pump is not pumping the way that it should, and you have high blood pressure. That's a reason. 85% of them are diagnosed with idiopathic high blood pressure. We don't know why your blood pressure is high, so let's take this little tiny pill every single day to bring it down.
Right. That's the easy fix. Just take this pill. It happens in everybody, right? As you get older, your blood pressure just goes up, right?
It's like, what in the world?
I was being sarcastic.
What planet are we living on? We're the only country in the world that thinks like this. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So there's my rant. I got it done in less than 10 minutes, surprisingly. That's good. And this should tie in very well to why in the world would you redo your food sensitivity test? And why would anybody do it on a regular basis? You can't just do it once and be done with it. It changes.
It does. And so generally speaking, the microbiome, meaning the environment of your gut, is inside the intestinal tract, the environment of the intestines and of the gut itself changes every 7 years. The microbiome changes generally every 7 years. However, with that being said, certainly different stressors or traumas or surgeries, medications can make the microbiome change sooner. So it may not be a full 7 years before something happens. And if you have a surgery and you're put on antibiotics, or if you have a huge life stress with a lot of cortisol response, your stress response occurring, that can also affect the gut lining and change the microbiome itself too. So certainly the microbiome can change at any point with whatever you're going through in life. But generally speaking, it's changing about every 7 years. So with our clients, I'm usually not recommending a repeat of food sensitivity testing unless it's been 3 or more years, most commonly. If it's been 3 or more years, I'm saying, okay, yes, we need to repeat this, see where we're at now, see what kind of adjustments need to be made within the meal plan, unless something has happened. They had a big trauma. They were pregnant and had a baby. They had a surgery. They had an infection and had to take antibiotics. They lost their parents. So their parents passed away and they had a big life stress for a long time, getting resettled and getting the estate done and all the stress that comes along with losing a family member. These are all reasons I'd say, okay, that's very possible that the microbiome has changed. And most commonly with that, we're seeing a new onset of symptoms. So we're seeing new onset of inflammation, inflammatory symptoms. Doesn't have to just be GI related with diarrhea and constipation, can be skin related, hives. It can be headaches and migraines. It could be that their sleep pattern has totally changed. They're gaining weight instead of losing, even if the macros haven't changed much. So lots of different reasons of inflammation that we're going to consider repeating food sensitivity testing with these stressors occurring.
So just life happening, life changes, and so does your body. And the physiological effects from the psychological stresses are significant. The gut, we've said multiple times over the years that your gut is your second brain. So it affects it. Things happen.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We've said it many, many times that when we have these different stress responses, that the cortisol, the actual stress hormone of cortisol, can break down the gut lining. It's affecting how...
Picking back up, had to press pause there after listening to Stella's podcast. Didn't realize that Vera, being 10 feet away, came through so clearly. So I'm sure you heard Walker telling us that he was hungry there. So getting back, we're talking about the physical and psychological effects of a big stressor and how that affects your gut. And the gut is the second brain. And we've been talking about this for a while. It's hard to not believe that it can change.
Right, for sure. So coming back to me, I repeated my food sensitivity testing as I have been having some inflammatory type symptoms really since having Vera, but it increased pretty significantly after having Walker, to the point that 3 months in, I'm like, okay, this is not heading in the right direction. I kept blaming it on not sleeping a lot, my cortisol level being high, which it's been high for several years, just with the amount that I work and the lack of sleep and having 3 kids in 5 years and the all the things. So fast forward another 2 months, Walker's 5 months old now, and just the inflammatory type symptoms, treating with how I know and how I've been treating for the last 6 months has not been improving. So I decided it was time, or actually you totally convinced me that it was time to repeat my sensitivity testing. I was hesitating because I knew it was going to come back showing some things that I wasn't quite mentally prepared to give up, but I repeated it anyway. And now I'm going 100% all in to remove everything on my sensitivity list, which is quite a lot.
It's pretty much everything except for venison.
And chicken.
Venison and chicken and broccoli?
No, broccoli did show up.
Oh, not broccoli.
I can have most proteins except for beef and turkey and whitefish. No beef, no turkey, no whitefish. And I can have majority of the vegetables except for broccoli. I think was the only vegetable that showed up actually. Oh, and carrots. Yes. But it did show almost everything in the nut family with the exception of coconut and pumpkin seed and sunflower seed. Pumpkin seed, sunflower seed, and coconut were the only nuts that didn't show up. Every other nut, almond, walnut, macadamia nut, what else? Peanut, Brazil nut. Yeah. Like every single nut showed up except for coconut. And egg white was off the charts. The highest reaction to egg that I've ever seen on anybody in the 10 years that I've been practicing functional medicine.
So and it was on you.
And it was on me. And so that was interesting. And I was eating a lot of egg white. I was using a lot of the Julian Bakery Pro granola, which is egg white based. And then on the weekends, of course, I would eat eggs as well. So I was getting egg into my diet every single day, along with peanut. I was getting in my diet every single day. A lot of beans. So kidney beans, black beans, green pea, soy showed up. So I really shouldn't be consuming pea protein or soy-based products since both pea and soy showed up. So it's been quite an overhaul where I've had to do even more research to find different types of products to where I'm not just relying on seed-based protein powder. I had to go through and find different products for protein powders and snacks that I could utilize. I've had to, just like I recommend to my patients and like I do for Jake every weekend, prep some snacks to be able to use throughout the week.
The one good thing about all of this is that chicken and peppers did not show up.
Right.
Corn did not show up.
Right.
Which means amigos did not get taken out. So we still get to have our amigos on a regular basis, chicken fajitas with corn tortillas.
Except I don't even eat the tortillas. I always just make a salad, but yeah. So the corn chips at least.
Yeah, the chips.
Yes. Yeah.
So there was some light. And I think one of the big things to note is when you got that back, it was very overwhelming because it was 95% of your diet showed up and said, you cannot eat this anymore.
Right.
And I think one of the big things, there's two big things to take away from this. Number one is, well, what else is there? And the answer is there are other options. You just got to figure it out and you got to get creative and work around it and it will happen. But then the second part of it is, this is not going to be the rest of your life.
Right.
You have gone through a major stressor in the past few years, multiple back-to-back stressors, 7 pregnancies in 5 years, 3 kids, 2 within 2 years. The cortisol's through the roof, running a business. You never sleep. You're constantly working, 80 hours a week working, plus raising kids, plus trying to keep up with me and my addiction to boating trips. So it just never, ever ends. And then there was just these little things that were just getting more and more prevalent. Can we talk about some of the things that we knew were not right?
Like my symptoms?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Do you want me to go or you?
Well, I go. So first and foremost, starting 18 months ago, I started with what I thought was an ear infection or maybe a fungal infection of the inner ear. And so I was just kind of treating it on and off myself. Whenever it would flare up, I'd treat it with some drops and then it would go away and it would come and go. And that came on probably 5 months ago pretty consistently, where it just hasn't gotten better despite what I've been doing as far as treatment. So that was one of the first alarming symptoms that came on. Then I started...
Wait. Before you go to the next thing, notice what Jenni said right there. 18 months. She's had an ear infection for 18 months. And this is every one of our clients where we're living with something that is just not bad enough for us to make a decision, where your ear was not that big of a deal, where you're like, I've got to figure out what's going on here. Until finally it was. But it took 18 months.
Right. And it took the consistency of it along with having other random inflammatory symptoms that I was like, okay, my body is reacting. Like I'm at a constant state of inflammation at this point. I, of course, am tired always in the afternoons. And I said to Jake, I was like, I just don't know that my thyroid is doing as well as it should be because I like hit a wall in the afternoon, just like a lot of my Hashimoto's hypothyroid symptom patients. And I do have a history myself of autoimmune disease. I have a known positive ANA that I've had for many, many years. And I actually reversed it before I even got pregnant with Stella. I went from having a very high level ANA, if you know anything about them, it was 1 in 320 and ended up reversing it to totally normal. I haven't rechecked my ANA in quite a while since having kids. But I, growing up had asthma and had psoriasis and seborrheic dermatitis, and I've been able to cure all of those things through a gut healing process. So none of that flared back up, but I knew that with a history of autoimmune disease and going through this in the past where I had terrible seborrheic dermatitis, I was on oral steroids in high school because nobody knew at that point that it was my gut. And now I'm proud to say it's been 12 years since I've taken any prescription medication, topical or oral, for seborrheic dermatitis, since I was actually able to figure out the triggers of gluten and dairy causing that problem. But anyways, I just backtrack. So moving forward, besides the ear and being tired, I started having some symptoms of what they call eosinophilic esophagitis, which essentially I just felt like something was sitting on my throat all the time. I felt like had a necklace around my neck, a choker around my neck that was just choking me. Something was sitting on my throat, difficulty swallowing at times, but really just uncomfortable feeling. So I think that was one of the more triggering symptoms that I had too.
Yeah, that was a big one because, I'm going, okay, do we have an orthopedic problem? And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but there are some very serious orthopedic conditions that present with similar symptoms to what Jenni's talking about. And I'm going, well, wait a minute, we don't have a mechanism of injury. So it's unlikely that that's the case. Plus, coincidentally, you had an MRI of your neck 2 years ago or so.
15 was right after Vera's first birthday, 15 months ago.
Yeah. And it came back
pristine.
Pristine.
That was the word the doctor used. Yeah. You have a pristine neck.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we didn't have a mechanism of injury, and the MRI just said it was pristine 15 months ago. So it's probably not a good differential diagnosis to say it's an orthopedic condition. So that means it's your ballpark.
Right. So that was happening. And then just like randomly when I would be working out, my feet would fall asleep, which was weird. Like I just started having a lot of just strange, different inflammatory type symptoms where we put it all together. And I said, okay, I've been in an autoimmune bundle before where I had to do my food sensitivity testing and strip everything out and go through a gut healing process. And even though I still eat very clean, this proves that it's not always about just what you're eating. It's about the internal and external stress response that's happening. So, like Jake said, 7 pregnancies, and it was over a 7-year period. I had 7 pregnancies. I had 4 pregnancies within 2 years between a loss, having Vera, another loss, and then having Walker. 2 surgeries, 2 C-sections. 3 in 5 years, but 2 in the last 2 years. So there's a lot that's been on from a stress response mechanism to where now I have to go back to square one, pull the food out, heal the gut lining. It's not just about removing the food. It's about getting the right amino acids and resetting that microbiome. And as Jake said, it came back last week and it was extremely overwhelming. I do this every day for a living and helping individuals, but I'm too close to the situation for myself, where I threw a little pity party that I had to remove all these things that I love. I reached out to a friend that is a dietitian herself and working for a different company and said, I think I'm just going to need to pay you to help be my coach because I do this every day for other people. I can't do it for myself. I need an outside coach that can take away the emotional connection to food for me and guide me on some recommendations. So here's the point that even if you're a professional, you should be using a coach.
Yeah, professional or not, everybody needs a coach. Everybody does. And I think let's wrap things up here and say the big take-home message. If you know Jenni, if you've ever went out to dinner with Jenni and watched what she eats, you see it. You see her videos. She posts them every day or at least on a weekly basis, what we're making. She's 99.9% spot on as far as healthy goes. And I'm not. I might be 90%. And that might be generous.
I think you're 90%.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go with 90%. But you're 99.9%. Like you're not just going to eat a deep fried donut. You're just not going to go hard in the paint on a gluttonous piece of pizza.
No.
Like it's going to be a cauliflower crust, dairy-free piece of pizza. Mm-hmm. Versus me, I will. So when you hear that Jenni's gut is jacked up, this should be screaming sirens that it has sometimes it has very little to do with how healthy you eat and a ton to do with the external stressors that's being placed on the body and how the body reacts. So that's why it's important to regularly update a food sensitivity, because if you did one 5 years ago and eggs showed up 5 years ago, doesn't mean they're showing up today.
Right. The microbiome changes.
Yep. Or if nothing showed up 5 years ago, doesn't mean that nothing's going to show up today. Life has changed. It's constantly changing. That's the one constant in life, is that change will occur. So this is all part of getting healthier and being more informed and taking your own health into your own hands, is doing a regular food sensitivity screen.
Absolutely. And reach out to your coaches. Ask questions. Awesome.
Good.
So there's my story. Hold me accountable. One day at a time, making changes, finding new products. And it's nice because now I have new products that I have physically tried and can recommend to our clients who are in this very similar boat as me.
Perfect. Love it.
All right. Ciao for now. Thank you for subscribing on your social media and podcast platforms to the Berman Method. Dr. Jake Berman with Berman Physical Therapy and Jenni Berman, Physician Assistant with Berman Health and Wellness. You can find more information on our website, www.bermanpt.com for physical therapy, bermanpt.com/wellness for the health and wellness. You can also find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and on your podcast platform. So be sure to follow us, like us, subscribe to us. And if you would like any further information, definitely visit our website and reach out to us. You may also find our free reports on the websites as well, where you can download this free information for yourself. Have a great day.